Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Hope you guys are all doing super well. So welcome to today's true crime video. So today we're going to be talking about the disappearance of 13-year-old Laura Ayala. So on Sunday, March 10th, 2002, Laura left her apartment complex to walk to a local convenience store to buy some supplies for a school project. This convenience store was literally behind Laura's apartment, but somewhere along the route from Laura's apartment to the store, Laura disappeared. It's been almost 20 years and we still don't know what happened to Laura Ayala. It's kind of solved, but also kind of unsolved, so it's just a really weird case, but that's pretty much what we're going to be talking about in today's video. If you guys are new to my channel, welcome, bienvenidos. I hope you guys are able to subscribe down below before you guys leave so you guys can join the familia. Guys, we are so close to 100,000 subscribers. I don't know how that happened. I don't know what's happening. I don't know if this is real life, but I'm super excited about that. And of course, extremely grateful to you guys for watching my videos and supporting what I put out there and listening to these stories. So again, thank you guys so much for all the support. I really appreciate it. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. Let's jump right into today's video. So since this happened in the early 2000s, I don't really have that many images or videos that I can include in this. I know you guys really enjoy seeing photos and images about what I'm talking about, so sorry if there aren't that many. I tried my best to research and really, dive deep to get as much stuff as I could for you guys. So who is 13-year-old Laura Ayala? So Laura was born on October 29, 1988. Her mother is Angelica Rebollar. From what I was able to find, her family describes her as being a very shy and reserved young girl, but she was also very smart and very organized. She took her schoolwork very seriously, so she attended DD Middle School in Houston, Texas, and she was an honor student. She was also a part of the chess club, garden club, something else. Okay, she was in the chess club, the writing club, and the garden club, and she was an honor student. So besides being very into her schoolwork and everything she was doing outside of school, she was also very into journaling. So she had a journal where she would write down everything she was doing that week, what activities she had planned, what assignments were due. I mean, she was just like an all over, very organized and very well put together kid. So Laura lived with her family at an apartment complex in the 7930 block of Cerrita Street in Houston, Texas. So on Sunday, March 10, 2002, Laura walked up to her mother and asked her if she could borrow some money. Her mom asked her, okay, what do you need the money for? And Laura said she wanted to walk to the local convenience store to buy some newspaper she needed for a school project. And Laura's mom, Angelica, agreed that this was not the right time for her to be going out by herself to go buy something at a gas station. It was 10 p.m., so definitely not an ideal time for someone to be walking by themselves. So she told Laura that she didn't want her to walk to the store, but Laura was very persistent and kept telling her mom, please, just let me go, it'll be quick. So despite Laura's mom telling her not to leave the apartment, Laura left her apartment complex and started walking towards the Broadway convenience store to buy the newspaper. So this convenience store was located inside the Conoco gas station in the 2600 block of Broadway Street. This store was literally right behind Laura's apartment complex, less than 100 feet away. So it would most likely take Laura 2 minutes to get to the convenience store, buy the newspaper, and then walk again for another 2 minutes. So she should have only been gone for maybe 5-6 minutes at the most. So it's not really clear if Laura's mom knew that she left despite her telling her no, or if Laura left and her mother just didn't realize that she was gone. So after around 10 minutes, Angelica realizes that Laura left without telling her, or if she did know that Laura left, she realized that she was taking longer than it should have. So she starts to panic a little bit and she decides to walk by herself to the convenience store to see if Laura is still there. So Angelica makes that quick journey from her apartment to the store, and once she arrives inside the store, Laura is nowhere to be seen. She asks the store employee if he has seen a young little girl that came in here a few minutes ago to buy some newspaper, and the employee says yes, a young girl fitting Laura's description walked into the store by herself, bought the newspaper, and then quickly left. Now Angelica is really panicking because, first of all, Laura is not at the apartment, she's not somewhere along the route from the apartment to the store, and she's not in the store. So where could Laura be? Angelica begins to look in the store, in the parking lot, along the route from the store to her apartment, and while Angelica is searching this area, she comes across Laura's sandals and the newspaper she bought scattered in a parking lot behind the store. I was watching an interview that Angelica did with Univision, and she said that she found Laura's sandals and the newspaper behind her own car that was parked in this lot. So imagine looking around trying to find your child, trying to see if something happened to her, and you find her shoes and the newspaper she bought behind your car. Like, that must have been such a crazy feeling. So Angelica says once she saw these items, she started to scream like crazy. So she immediately called police and reported Laura as missing. So police arrived to the scene and they immediately begin searching for Laura, and they took this very seriously, which makes me so happy because I feel like there are so many cases that I hear about where police are like, oh, maybe she's a runaway, or maybe, you know, they're just hanging out and they just didn't want to tell you, and they just kind of don't take it seriously. So it makes me really happy that the police arrived and were ready to look for Laura. I don't think police thought that Laura was a runaway just because they found her shoes nearby. They found the newspaper, and you know, it was along the route that Laura would have taken to go back home. So it definitely makes us think that Laura was on her way home when something bad happened. So the detective on this case was named Jesus Sosa, and he said that everyone was taking this case very seriously, and right when they got on the scene, they were just searching all over the place to see if they could find something else that belonged to Laura or something to show what could have happened. They literally found no other evidence. They did check with the convenience store to see if they had security cameras, but of course, the security cameras weren't recording, so they couldn't check if maybe Laura was approached by someone when she left the store. I mean, they really just had no idea of what could have happened after Laura left the store. So now police were making flyers with Laura's face on there and a description of what she was last seen wearing, which was a blue and white checkered dress. And this neighborhood in Houston, Texas really came together to support Laura's family, so everyone was printing flyers, everyone was handing them out to neighbors, asking if you've seen Laura. So I think it's great that Laura's family was receiving the support because there were a lot of people blaming Angelica for what happened. To this day, I still see a bunch of Reddit threads and comments on her Facebook page saying, why would you let a 13-year-old be by themselves? Why would you let her leave the house? And that is just not helpful. I'm sure Laura's mom feels guilt and she feels regret, so blaming her and sending her these mean comments just isn't helpful whatsoever. I think it's great that she did have a big group of people that did support her and showed her some love. So people around the neighborhood were putting up flyers, and there was many search parties put together to help look around the area to see if they could find anything else that belonged to Laura. Laura's teacher actually attended one of these search parties.
I'm devastated for the fact that, one, she was going out so late and gathering the information, and she could have waited the next day, gone to the library like they planned. She was a very hardworking child.
Then Angelica went on TV and she was pleading with the people that took Laura to bring her home.
The people who've taken her, please bring her back. I know they have families, and if something would happen to them, I know they'd feel bad too.
And she said, listen, if you guys want ransom money, if you guys want reward money, don't worry about it. We'll figure out a way to get you the money. Just bring my daughter home. So besides receiving help from the police department, from the neighborhood, and people around the community, Laura's family received a lot of support from an organization called the Laura Recovery Center. This organization was created by Miss Smither, the mother of 12-year-old Laura Smither, who had been abducted and murdered in 1997. Smither created this organization to help other families search for their loved ones, and she felt very close to this case since her daughter's name was also Laura, and they were both around the same age when she disappeared. So this organization arrived in Houston, Texas, and they began hosting a bunch of search parties to go search in the woods, to go search in alleyways. I mean, basically just search all over the area to see if anyone could find Laura. Another organization called the Texas EQ Search, I believe that's how you pronounce it. If not, sorry if I said that wrong. They're a search and rescue organization dedicated to searching for missing persons. So they also stepped in and were helping to find Laura. So from what I was reading, Laura's disappearance really shook up the community. I mean, this was just something that didn't really happen in their neighborhood. You know, a young girl walking to the store behind her house somehow disappeared and was potentially abducted. This case really shook up the community, and a lot of people knew Laura. They were friends with her. They went to school with her. So everyone really took this case very personally. And so while all of these organizations and all of these people are coming together to search for Laura and help find her, Police are trying to find any witnesses that may have seen what happened to Laura the night she disappeared. They ended up finding a witness that claims they saw a mid-1980s maroon cargo van parked in the convenience store parking lot the night Laura disappeared. The vehicle had a large-sized white-colored stripe painted along the side and had a gray-colored bumper. The sliding door on the right side of the van had a small window that they believed was broken because it had some plywood and it had some tape there to conceal the opening. This witness thought that this van was most likely a work van because the conditions were very bad, it just seemed very dirty, and it just seemed like a plumber's van. So now police begin trying to locate this van, and a month after Laura disappeared in April of 2002, another witness came forward and said that they also saw that same van parked in the parking lot behind the store where Laura's shoes and the newspaper were found at around 10 p.m. This witness says that when he saw the van, the right sliding door was open and there was either a Hispanic or Caucasian male standing nearby. So now police are kind of putting together a bit of a theory that maybe Laura was walking home, she passed by this van, and whoever was in this van abducted Laura. Police continue to follow this lead, and in April of 2002, they begin questioning a man named Martin Marmolejo. So in March of 2002, Martin was actually employed at this gas station as a plumber. The night that Laura disappeared, Martin and his partner were working at the gas station, and his partner claims that he left a little bit early, but Martin decided to stay at the store until around 10 p.m. that night. The van that Martin drove fits the description of the van that the witnesses claim they saw that same night. Now, there really isn't a follow-up story on what happened with Martin. All I saw was that police did question Martin and that they don't think he's a suspect in Laura's disappearance, but that he may be a potential witness. And that's pretty much it. So then in May of 2002, police began following a new theory that maybe Laura was placed on a bus and taken across the border to Reynosa, Mexico. This theory came about when police learned that a bus from the El Expreso Bus Company departed from Houston, Texas between 10:30 and 11 p.m. on March 13th, 3 days after Laura was last seen. There were a total of 13 passengers on this bus, and the bus driver told police that a female and a male walked onto this bus with a young little girl fitting Laura's description. So police were like, okay, this is a little bit weird. So they start investigating these passengers a little bit more. And when they find the passenger log, they identify the couple as Virginia Ramirez and Julio Barrios. Now police identified the couple, and they were trying to see if the young girl they were with was registered, and when they found her name, the couple had registered this girl as Laura A. So police are like, oh my gosh, like, is this Laura Ayala? Like, what are the odds that a young girl is placed on this bus fitting Laura's description, and her name is Laura A. So it definitely seemed possible to police that she was kidnapped on March 10th by this couple, held hostage for 3 days, and then on March 13th, this couple put Laura on the bus and crossed her to Reynosa, Mexico. Police go to question the employee that sold this couple their bus tickets to see if maybe they remember the girl's last name, if maybe they have a photo of her, or if she could remember anything that could help them out. All they remembered was that the young girl did fit Laura's description and that she was wearing a pink shirt and dark colored jeans. Police continued to follow the lead, and they confirmed that Virginia and Julio did make it to Reynosa, Mexico with the young little girl, but when they got to Mexico, they kind of all went their separate ways. Because of this, police couldn't confirm if this sighting of Laura was 100% true or if maybe it was just a coincidence. Maybe this couple was just traveling with like a niece or a family friend that just happened to have the name Laura A. The only reason police released this information to the public was to see if anybody could help identify this couple, if anybody could help identify if this was Laura on the bus, but there was never any confirmation that this girl was actually Laura. So police kind of just left that there, and to this day, police say that it was just a dead-end theory. I can't imagine how frustrated and confused Laura's family must have been feeling, because first police thought that maybe it was Martin the plumber that could have had something to do with Laura's disappearance, and that proved to be a dead end. Next, they're being told that maybe Laura was put on a bus and crossed to Reynosa, Mexico, which can be very scary. I mean, imagine thinking that your kid was crossed to another country and then they find out that it's also a dead end. I mean, I just can't imagine how Laura's family felt at this time. It's just so frustrating when months go by and you still have no idea what happened to your loved one. So a few months go by and police still have no new leads, no new suspects, no new evidence. I mean, literally nothing. Then in August of 2002, police begin investigating 3 men in connection with the murders of several women in East End, Texas. These 3 men are 25-year-old Walter Alexander Sorto, 24-year-old Edgardo Rafael Cubas, and 16-year-old Eduardo Navarro. Police say that Sorto and Cubas went on a crime spree of robberies, essaying people, and murders on the east side of Houston, Texas, while Navarro was their getaway driver. Thankfully, all 3 of them were found and arrested in February of 2003 for the murders and rapes of 24-year-old Roxana Capulin, 38-year-old Teresa Rangel, and 15-year-old Esmeralda Alvarado. So on June 1st, 2002, Roxana and Teresa were leaving the restaurant they worked at in Houston, Texas when they were abducted by the 3 men. I don't want to go too into detail as to what happened to them because it is very disturbing. It's just horrific and everyone's worst nightmare. I mean, these guys were just absolutely brutal. So then on January 19th, 2003, Edgardo and Walter saw 15-year-old Esmeralda Alvarado talking on a payphone by herself, and they decided to approach her, push her into their van. They took her to a secluded area in a field, and again, I'm not going to go too much into detail as to what happened to her because it's really just horrifying. So because of the abduction and murder of this 15-year-old girl, police were able to catch on to them and thankfully arrest them. So Edgardo and Walter were sentenced to death, but Navarro, since he was only 16 years old and was only the getaway driver, he was only sentenced to 13 years in juvenile detention, and to this day he's out and about. So this trio told police that they would occasionally borrow Edgardo's father's van to do their abductions. So the Harris County Police Department of Texas begins to investigate this van just to see if there's any other evidence in there, and while they're searching inside this van, they find traces of blood that don't belong to any of their known victims. These officers are actually familiar with Laura's disappearance, so they call Houston Police Department and they're like, listen, you guys need to contact Laura's parents ASAP and get a DNA sample from them because we might have something. So Houston Police Department goes to Laura's parents, they get a DNA sample from them, send it back to the Harris County Medical Examiner's office to see if it's a match. And when the medical examiner tests the DNA from Laura's parents to the blood found in this van, it comes back as a match. That is just crazy. I mean, Laura's blood was found in the back of a van that this trio would use to abduct and murder young females. When Laura's family found out that this was a match, they were also just completely heartbroken. Laura's aunt, Francisca, did an interview with these reporters, and she told the reporters that as long as police don't confirm that Laura is dead, the family is still going to hold on to hope that she's alive and that she's going to eventually be brought home safely. That's the only evidence they found of Laura's in the back of this van, and even to this day, that's pretty much it. They did ask the trio about this, and they all say that they had nothing to do with Laura's disappearance. They have no idea who she is. They don't know how the blood got in the back of their van, and they're just very uncooperative when it comes to questions about Laura. But it's like, I mean, hello, how did her blood end up back there? It just wasn't magically placed there. Since the blood was the only evidence that police found in the van that could link Laura to this trio, they were never charged for Laura's disappearance. To this day, Edgardo and Walter are still sitting on death row, and they still claim that they have no idea what happened to Laura and that they had nothing to do with her case. As I mentioned earlier, Navarro is already released and he's out and about, and if he did have something to do with Laura's disappearance, I'm pretty sure he's not going to come forward. I mean, why would he come forward now and risk going back to jail and going to prison? So it's just really frustrating, and I hope that before their execution date comes, Edgardo and Walter can just come forward and tell Laura's family what happened. You know, give them some type of closure, give them some type of answer so that they can find Laura and give her a proper burial and just, you know what happened to their loved one. I know it's hard to ask this of them, but I hope they do the right thing and they come forward and just tell police what happened. And that's pretty much all the information on this case. It's just very frustrating. I cannot believe it's been almost 20 years and Laura's family still doesn't have any answers, any closure, or any idea as to what happened to Laura and, where she could be. I think it's very likely that this trio did get to Laura, and their van did match the description of the van that witnesses saw that day, and Laura's blood was found in the back of their van. So I think it's very likely that they had something to do with Laura's disappearance, and I just wish and I pray that Laura's family would get answers soon. It's just really sad. I mean, Laura was just trying to get some newspaper to finish a school project, and on this quick little walk. I mean, imagine walking behind your house. You never think something's gonna happen to you, and somewhere along this quick walk, something happened to Laura. Angelica says that she still lives at the same apartment complex and still has hope that one day Laura will be brought home. She says that Laura does visit her in her dreams and gives her lots of hugs. This is why I mentioned earlier that the case is kind of solved, kind of unsolved, because we don't really know where Laura is or what happened to her, but we do have these 3 men that could potentially be involved in Laura's disappearance and possible murder. So it's just a very iffy situation, and I hope police still have this case open and are still trying to get answers from this trio to see if they can eventually admit what happened. And like I said, my thoughts and prayers go out to Laura's family, and I hope and pray you guys get answers soon. So if you guys have any information about what happened to Laura, please call the Houston Police Department Homicide Division or call the Texas EquuSearch with any information you may have. The last thing I saw was that there was a $20,000 reward for any information that could help bring Laura home. I will have that link down below, but please, you guys, I know this was almost 20 years ago, but if you guys remember anything about that night or, could help police or Laura's family in any way, please come forward with that information. There is a Facebook page that posts updates about Laura's disappearance. I'll have that link down below if you guys want to follow it so you guys can stay up to date with what happened to her. And of course, if there are any updates on Laura's disappearance, I will update you guys in the pinned comment section of this video down below. But yeah, you guys, that's pretty much all the information I have for you. Definitely let me know what you guys think. I mean, do you guys think the trio was involved in this? Again, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I really appreciate it, and please share this video and share Laura's photo, her flyer, her story. Let's just keep people talking about this because it breaks my heart that there's not a lot of coverage on Laura's disappearance. So let's keep the momentum going and just hope that Laura's family has answers soon. Alright, you guys, that's pretty much all I have to say for today's video. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye, guys!